Before there was Madonna, before there was Whitney Houston, there was Connie Francis, the first female artist to top the Billboard singles chart. But her story isn't just about fame and fortune. It's about survival, resilience, and one of the most shocking cases of misdiagnosis in entertainment history. This is the truth about Connie Francis. What's up, truth seekers? Welcome back to The Truth About, where we dive deep into the real stories behind the headlines. I'm your host, and today we're uncovering the incredible, heartbreaking, and ultimately inspiring story of Connie Francis, a woman whose life was far more dramatic than any song she ever sang. Born Conchetta Franco-Nero on December 12, 1938, in Newark, New Jersey, Connie Francis was a musical prodigy from day one. By age 3, she was already in music school learning vocals and accordion. Can you imagine? 3 years old and already training for stardom. Her father spotted her talent early and became her manager, though as we'll see later, this relationship would become complicated. At just 11 years old, she appeared on Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, and by her teens, she was performing at local venues and talent shows. But here's where it gets interesting. Connie Francis wasn't just another pretty face with a nice voice. She was a trailblazer. In 1960, she became the first female recording artist to top the Billboard singles chart. Her hits like Who's Sorry Now, Where the Boys Are, and Stupid Cupid weren't just catchy. They were revolutionary for their time. During the late 1950s and early 1960s, Connie Francis was basically the Taylor Swift of her era. She could sing country, rock and roll, and traditional pop, often switching between genres on the same album. Her voice was powerful, emotional, and she had this incredible ability to make every song feel personal. She made 26 appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show. That's more than most artists could dream of. She was selling millions of records, touring internationally, and seemed to have everything. But as we know, fame often comes with a price, and Connie Francis would pay it in the most horrific way imaginable. Now, what I'm about to tell you is difficult to hear, but it's crucial to understanding Connie's story. In 1974, at the height of her career, Connie Francis was brutally assaulted at a motel in Fort Lauderdale. She had trusted the motel's security, but they failed her in the most devastating way. This wasn't just a career setback. This was a life-altering trauma that would haunt her for decades. The assault left her with severe PTSD, anxiety, and depression. For 7 years after the attack, she couldn't perform. She experienced agoraphobia, flashbacks, and nightmares. She had to hire bodyguards and lived in constant fear. But here's what makes this story even more tragic. Society in the 1970s wasn't equipped to handle trauma victims with the understanding we have today. Connie Francis, one of America's biggest stars, was essentially forgotten by the industry that once celebrated her. If you think the story couldn't get worse, you're wrong. In 1983, Connie's own father had her involuntarily committed to a mental institution. Now, before you judge him, remember that mental health awareness was practically non-existent in the 1980s. But here's the shocking part. From 1982 to 1991, Connie Francis was involuntarily committed to mental institutions 17 times across 5 different states. 17 times. She was misdiagnosed with manic depressive disorder and was given medication for an illness she didn't have. Can you imagine? A woman who was suffering from PTSD, a very real and treatable condition, was instead labeled as mentally ill and subjected to repeated institutionalization. It wasn't until 1991 that she finally met a psychiatrist who properly diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder. As if the assault and misdiagnosis weren't enough, in 1981, Connie's brother was murdered, reportedly gunned down by the mob in front of his New Jersey home. This woman, who had already been through unimaginable trauma, lost her brother to violence. The combination of the assault, the wrongful institutionalizations, and her brother's murder created a perfect storm of trauma that would have broken most people. But Connie Francis isn't most people. In 1984, while she was still struggling with her mental health, Connie Francis did something remarkable. She wrote and published her autobiography, Who's Sorry Now? It became a New York Times bestseller and gave her a platform to speak her truth. She didn't just write about her experiences. She became an advocate for victims' rights and mental health awareness. She fought for better security at hotels and motels, and her lawsuit against the motel where she was assaulted led to changes in how these establishments handle security. She also became an advocate for veterans suffering from PTSD, drawing from her own experiences with the disorder. After touring with the USO during the Vietnam War, she understood the struggles veterans faced and worked to spotlight the difficulties facing those suffering from PTSD and homelessness. Connie Francis continued to manage her PTSD with proper treatment and medication throughout her later years, and she became a powerful voice for trauma survivors. She returned to performing in the early 1990s and made occasional appearances well into her 80s. Tragically, as we're recording this video, news has just broken that Connie Francis has passed away at the age of 87. Her death was confirmed by multiple sources, including NPR and Good Morning America. She leaves behind an incredible legacy, not just as a groundbreaking artist, but as a survivor who transformed her pain into purpose. Her story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. She survived not just one trauma, but multiple traumas, and she used her platform to help others. She's not just a singer, she's a survivor, an advocate, and a pioneer who paved the way for countless female artists who came after her. The truth about Connie Francis is that she was so much more than just a singer from the 1950s and 60s. She was a woman who faced unimaginable hardships and found the strength to not only survive, but to help others survive too. Her passing reminds us that behind every celebrity, there's a real person with real struggles, and her legacy will continue to inspire trauma survivors for generations to come. If you or someone you know is struggling with PTSD or trauma, please know that help is available and that your story matters. Connie Francis's journey from victim to survivor to advocate shows us that healing is possible, even after the darkest times. What do you think about Connie Francis's incredible life story? Her passing makes this video even more meaningful as we remember not just her music, but her courage and advocacy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to a story you didn't know, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more truth-telling content. Remember, truth seekers, every story matters, and every voice deserves to be heard. Rest in peace, Connie Francis. Your legacy of resilience will never be forgotten. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll uncover another story that needs to be told. Until then, keep seeking the truth.